let's continue to read. Um, on the altar of the Lord that he had built in front of the portico, Solomon sacrificed burnt offerings to the Lord, according to the daily requirement for offerings commanded by Moses for Sabbaths, new moons, and the 3 annual feasts, the feast of the unleavened bread, the feast of weeks, and the feast of tabernacles. In keeping with the ordinance of his father David, he appointed the divisions of the priests for their duties and the Levites to lead the praise and to assist the priests according to each day's requirement. He also appointed the gatekeepers by division for the various gates because this was what David, the man of God, had ordered. They did not deviate from the king's commands to the priests or to the Levites in any matter, including that of the treasuries. It's good to keep order on everything. And yes, again, Solomon, he got to do a lot. So he is a very good example in the Bible of what it all comes back to, what it all comes down to. He's going to say it. Solomon's going to say it. And can't wait for that. That's exciting. Okay, let's continue to read. All Solomon's work was carried out from the day of the foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid until its completion. So the temple of the Lord was finished. Then Solomon went to Ezon Gibber in Elath on the coast of Edom, and Hiram sent him ships commanded by his own officers, men who knew the sea. These, with Solomon's men, sailed to Ophir and brought back 450 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of gold, right? Think about that. But reading over this portion and how Solomon kept order, made sure to keep order in the temple as well, and how important that was for the people. You know, he's the king over the people, he was ruler over the people, and he needed to make sure that the temple was in order so people could worship. And, you know, there was a lot of people, so it needed to be in order so that the multitude could worship when they needed to at the appropriate times, and also follow all of the festivals and feasts and such. So everything was still going on as was, and it was going in the correct order. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think? I think about that. You know, you can think about it in churches and synagogues and such. If when things are in order, things run smoothly, right? In communities, in workplace, when things are in order, things run smoothly. But when things aren't, you know, can go off the rails really quickly. So let's continue to read. The Queen of Sheba visits Solomon. When the Queen of Sheba heard of Solomon's fame, she came to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. Arriving with a very great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones, she came to Solomon and talked with him about all she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for him to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw the wisdom of Solomon, as well as the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, the cupbearers in their robes, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe what they said until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half the greatness of your wisdom was told me. You have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your men must be, how happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on his throne as king to rule over the Lord, to rule for the Lord your God. Because of the love of your God for Israel and his desire to uphold them forever, he has made you king over them to maintain justice and righteousness." Big, huge amount of things here. Easy to take this from past to present right here. I believe it's, think about it. there's a lot here. One thing, um, past, present, easy. Do you believe everything, or do you have to see it? You know, when somebody tells you something about something, an experience, or do you believe them right away? Or are you one of those, or are you part of a lot of humanity where you want to go see it for yourself? Think about that. And then you find out, wow, you have an experience too, right? Whether it be good or bad. But think about that. That's one of those things that's, still happens to this day. So let's continue to read. Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices, and precious stones. There had never been such spices as those the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. The men of Hiram and the men of Solomon brought gold from Ophir. They also brought algum wood and precious stones. The king used the algum wood to make steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen in Judah. King Solomon gave the queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for. He gave her more than she had brought to him. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. So she was amazed. She came with gifts and stuff, and she ended up leaving with gifts because you look at that. Israel was blessed, and Solomon was freely given. He was like, yes, give. He was given because he knew, he had faith, and he knew that was nothing. Sure, I can give you some. You brought some stuff. I can give you stuff, whatever you ask for. Whatever looks good to you, because it's one of those things that we can bring past to present. When we're blessed, we give freely. We can give freely. We have peace about it, because the Lord is there. The Lord is our supplier. It's from the Lord. Everything good's from above. It's from the Lord anyway. So what's to give it back, or what's to give it away, or give it as in for good use? Think about those things in your life and in life. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?